Yep, here we go. I'm here. It is that time once again to say those magic words and get things rocking and rolling and starting here. And without further ado, let's get into it. About to do this in three, two, one.
All right, you want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
And yes, it is that time once again. It's Saturday. And guess what? We had a whatnot show and we're doing a couple other things. I actually got a little bit too relaxed here, so that was kind of like the reason why it feels like I'm a couple of minutes late. And we got people in the chat already. Oh, there's Parallax. There she is. Yeah, she missed out on the fun with the whatnot for this afternoon. But welcome to another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. I'm your host Joe D. McPhee here. Let's get the unimportant stuff out the way, such as stupid o'clock happening 1 hour into the show. We're probably going to be ending in an hour, maybe an hour 15 minutes. So we're probably not going to go the full gamut of 2 hours. It seems like Saturdays has been just running that way, where we're pretty much trying to stick to our hour show now. And then you got Last Man Standing following up after that into a little bit of a respite for Nicholas Tucker, and never mind the furthermore at 10 a.m. on Monday. And never forget about Comic Book Spectrum, which is Thursday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Still got to fix that title card here. But without further ado, and I did not prepare this correctly here, it is almost time for, whoops, that's not what we want. It is time for our on the spot reporter here to tell us what pickups we actually had this time around here. Where is it? Oh, oh, never mind. Never mind. We got it. We got it. It's like I said, it's that time for on the spot reporter review.
Well, hello everybody, and guess what? It's that time
Here you
again
go.
for new comic book pickups of the week. It's going to be a short week here because we're getting ready for a couple of things at the storage, but we got some new books here. One in which, if you were paying attention during Comic Book Spectrum, we actually talked about here. Trying not to get annoyed because there's another problem that is happening as we speak here, and I'm trying not to let that bother me. But first things first here, if you was here for Comic Book Spectrum, you know that I got the last issue of Sensational She-Hulk Volume 2, which is issue number 10. There's the A cover. Let me get the glare out of here. The A cover, the B cover, and the C cover. Then we got Thor 339 in the mail today. And Hulk 228, one of the few times that, actually, I think this is the first time that the Hulk fought Moonstone. Vampirella 669, Vengeance of Vampirella 14, 18, and 20. And I believe this is Lady Death Between Heaven and Hell, issue number 4. and the last issue of volume 3 of Catwoman. And pretty much that is the pickups for the week here. Yeah, that's why I say this is going to be a kind of a short week here. So I'm going to toss it right back over to Joe in the studio here. And I hope that you guys have a great rest of the show here. So here we go. Back to you, Joe.
And here I am. That was like a very short pickups for the week here. I am expecting a major Wonder Woman pickup over the next week and a few books to where I could finish off my finally the Alias run that I have here. I finally getting a small little run from like issue 24 to like 26 or 28 to the end of the run, which is like the very end dealing with Purple Man. So I finally got that, and it looks like we got Don Milo in the house. First time seeing you in here on the show. Welcome in, Don. I hope that you enjoy the show here because it is an interactive show, and pretty much, we talk comic books, we talk about comic book creation, we talk about a little bit of everything here. But first things first, just to let you guys know, yeah, we did have a whatnot show. We still got to finish packing up sales and whatnot. It is what it is here. Yep, this is me. This is me on a normal Saturday, doing the show here. And like I said, every 2 weeks I do a whatnot show where I sell extras out of my comic book collection as I do my inventory. And when I do inventory, I'm trying to get what I actually have in order, sorted out, and everything. So pretty much things that I could actually honestly say with a straight face now, minus maybe a handful of issues. I got a full run of Uncanny X-Men from Volume One, from like issue number 1 to like 524, without missing an issue. And like do got doubles, and some of those doubles will get sold, but not every last one of them, but some will. Some will out of that. Same thing with Wonder Woman, pretty much on from issue, I want to say from like issue like 183 or 184 to now. I'm not missing an issue. And this is going from volume 1 all the way back from like the 1960s. And I do have older books than that. And those who frequent the show a lot knows that my oldest Wonder Woman book is a Wonder Woman number 9 from 1945. So, I'm still trying to get that Wonder Woman collection complete from issue 1 to present, but that's a money thing. That takes the lottery and whatnot here to get that. And we got Domo say, yeah, that's quite a run. Did not know. Yeah. See, that's the thing, Don, is one of the things that I try to indicate to a lot of comic book sellers out there, and especially places that we frequent, especially one that we frequent on Mondays, Wednesday, and Friday. A lot of books that they bring up, they're telling people one thing, and I'm saying back, looking at it is like, but I already own it. Not the fact that I already own it. 9 times out of 10, it's either I got it either slabbed or it's in pretty much of a decent grade where if I buy another one, it has to be like almost the 9.8. And I don't see myself paying that type of money for a raw book unless it is slabbed. So it's kind of like you're not really enticing me with something as much. And then other books I just kind of like refuse, like Amazing Spider-Man 300. That's like it's not a rare book. It's an expensive book, but it's not rare. What I consider a rare book is like if I come across like Wonder Woman number 6 from the 1940s, that's a rare book. And Parallax was joking with me because I wanted to make certain that this one other seller that we know was not just selling a print. So I asked him, "Is it really if that was really real?" And he's like, "No, it's too big. It's too big to be a comic book. It gotta be it's supposed to, you dummy." Yep. And she's so happy that you're here. But it's kind of like one of those things here. It's like the books that I actually buy on these claim sales now is just gap fillers. I want to fill these gaps in my collection first before I go back to buying what I consider luxury items. Is I have the expendable cash to buy this issue again out of just the luxury of it. And also dealing with the whatnot sales, I'm also seeing the fact that people are not going to buy, pay big money for raw books. They're not. They're not. I just got through selling a Evil Ernie #1 for $1. Am I upset about it? Hell no. It's still $1. Let's go into a good home. That's the real blessing of all of this. It's like if you're a bookseller or a creator, you want your stories to get to a place where people can enjoy it. And that's the key thing. Now, the problem with whatnot for me is that I can't sell my own books there. There's no interest for that. But for established books, it's good. And Don says, like, yeah, it's usually the same issue from that specific vendor. At this point, I'm just thinking of just collecting slabs. Yeah. I mean, I know a good couple of places. If you want to just collect slabs, I could point you in that direction. If you don't mind the people who overpay or whatnot, I know I will get you in contact with the vendor, and then that way you two could do a lot more deals outside of whatnot. But if you deal with the whatnot app with some of the stuff that he has on his normal bi-weekly shows, be prepared to pay up, to pay a good penny. But if you buy it outside, you could use this 10% off code each and every order that you do. So that's the cool thing about it. Yeah, unless they're morons like at the meatloaf vendor. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like I said, it's like I spent 1 hour on whatnot, and people will get upset about this. Like I only make $13. And like I said, I got two Gemini buying mailers to send off. The good thing about it is not like the last 2 weeks. It's like Fairlife was there. The last 2 weeks ago, I had to do a actual priority mail box full of comics, and I think the final total of my take home was like $22. I mean, it is what it is. Like, people come in and get, they get the comics kind of cheap and everything. I mean, if people come in and do a bid war, that's on them. But if they get one or two people interested, it is what it is. But the thing that I notice is that I don't have the stereotypical books, and when I do have the things that, if I could say, eclectic collectors want, like I said, that's like I really didn't think I had that Evil Ernie #1. I brought it to the wet and I sell it sold. I had Jessica. I had like 4 copies of Jessica Jones #1 in storage. I brought one to whatnot today. It didn't sell. I had a lot of extra copies of uh, issues from Alias. None of them sell, but my my fourth and final 191 X-Men 191 that I had extra, that sold today. So it's things like that here. So Don is saying, well, my plan is to slab all the minty issues I have, but by the time it's like, but the time, the energy, and the money I have to spend to do all of that just to buy them for cheaper is like, no wait time. That's a goal. That's a goal. That's a goal here. But I'm going to I don't talk about my ultimate plan. I tell people about my plan for Wonder Woman, but what my ultimate plan for my collection is slowly becoming more like this here. I'm not planning to resell my collection. Why? Because that's, to me, is something that is worthwhile. That took my time. That took several decades to collect. as of right now, according to this last total, let me see what this last total is on CLZ. And I haven't even finished as of yet. I still got maybe 20 or so short boxes still left to sort through and get everything together and to put into CLZ and whatnot. But right now, I'm over 7,000 different issues in my collection that I have actually put into CLZ, and I'm still not done. So a collection like that is like, yeah, I could sell it to a reseller at bulk, and it doesn't feel right. My ultimate plan here is I'm going to eventually partner up with different people and use the collection to be more of a display piece. We're going to make it more of like a museum, museum donations and everything to be like what a collection of literary classics is supposed to be. It's supposed to be preserved. Have people to come in to see it in more of like a gallery or museum type format. You can make money that way from it, and it lasts a lot longer. That the memory is treasured a lot longer in that aspect when you make it more into a museum type aspect. There was a New York Times article a couple of years back talking about the Peonies, the people who created ElfQuest, and they was actually quoted that if something did happen to them, if they actually passed away, all the artwork that they did, all the storyboards, all the Bristol boards, everything that they own. I mean, we're talking about drawers and drawers and drawers of ElfQuest related drawings, comics, and everything would have been lost because their family would not hold it to the same esteem. Luckily for us, Cornell University stepped up and was going to give them make allow them to have like an archive of their work, and it would be preserved through Cornell University as a reference piece or museum type pieces that can be on display at any given time, and it could be used by students that go to that university. That preserves their legacy. The legacy doesn't get lost to time in that aspect here. It is cheaper to send most out most times, and times where you just go and do it, read the cover over and over and over and over again. And what do you need at Tuesday instead of October? Yeah, and you have all the crappy shiny books. Yeah, and Bean says, leave it to me. Leave it to me. Will yeah, why I want my crappy shiny books to be slabs so I can just look at the pretty covers. See, that's the thing. It's like my idea of what I'm doing here is like the archive. It's like I don't need every book slab. If for me, and I have explained this as far as me and preservation is concerned. I preserve older books that should be preserved. X-Men #1, that should be slapped. If you're keeping an X-Men #1 from 1963 raw, you're running risk of that being damaged and not being kept up very well. Yeah, I would get something like that slapped. Would I get like let's say, would I get like the recent issue of Wonder Woman slap? Nah. Not unless I get it for like a deal for like $30. Nah. Why? Maybe, if I got that issue in 40 years from now, yeah, that would be more along the lines of thinking about preserving something like that. I mean, I got Archie books now that the one of the people that I'm partnering up with is like, dude, you got to get these Archie books lab from like the 1940s and 50s. You know, it's like you don't realize how great condition these things are. It's like, yeah, I know they're in great condition, but the money alone here. Heck, I just got through showing another group dealing with Wonder Woman 204 because they didn't realize I had a actual original 204 that I just recently had that book slab. And I was telling them, it's like I'm getting my second copy of 205, which is the second appearance of Nubia, where she's not even on the cover, but she's mentioned on the cover here. And I was up here, I was like, one of those have to get slapped now because I have to preserve one of them. Because why? Not too many people talk about that her origin issues, 204, 205, and 206. Not too many people talk about it. So having at least one slab and one raw makes sense because the one raw book is the reader. People can come and look through it and constantly read it and don't have to be like, ooh, look at the pretty cover. And the other one is a display piece. You know, they could come into a museum and be like, oh, that's a nice book, and this, that, and the other. And they can see, you know, both sides and everything to that magnitude in a nice display case where you can see both sides and everything to that magnitude. But that's, you know, like, but that's the idea of preservation. And sometimes if you think more like, you know, how people like Indiana Jones would like, you know, retreat something that could be an artifact, you have to think that way. Oh yeah, we already covered that. It's like, yeah, uh, I get the preservation of keys and vintage books. For me personally, those keys or certain books are just out of my drive to collect the price range. So I slab books I like for me. Yeah, that's the whole thing about comic book collecting. You do for you. I'm not saying I know it, and Parallax could actually vouch for me. This I never tell anybody don't slab a book, and I don't tell people to keep a book raw. That's like do what you feel best for it. You know, if you could get a book slab for very for cheaper than you could get a raw one, buy the slab. At least you can say it's in my collection. That's the whole thing. You're wrong. Wrong. You're collecting wrong. Stop it. See, see that she just messing with you. She just messing with you. But she knows. That's like I don't tell people how to go about their collecting. Heck, I'll be one of the first people to tell you. And I have done well. I could probably go back and find those videos, but I did a collecting 101. I told people the best source of starting your comic book collection, believe it or not, is 50 cents in dollar boxes because half of the people that own stores don't know what they actually have in those boxes half of the time. And what they believe is pretty much quarter 50 cent and dollar books are typically worth a lot more if you know what you're looking for. If the monitors I choose to slab gain any worth, then my nieces and Beanie will benefit. Ha ha. Maybe, maybe, maybe. Yeah, but if just a shiny book, I say go with the cheapest way to slab, like PGX. Buying PGX already. I won't go into a grading spiel. But part of tonight's topic for today is that I was going to talk about the catch 22 of proving for once and for all it's low grade better than no grade. And I'm up there, it's like, no, there's different perspectives on looking at that. And I get every last one of them. And to me, it's a stupid thing to say. And I heard other people go on record to say the exact same thing. It's a kind of a stupid thing to say, but it has some validity. Believe it or not. It does have some validity in depending on how you're going about it, your collection here. Oh yeah, you mean like Portland man. Yeah, if my folks didn't get rid of my collection from childhood, then I maybe had a head start on those keys. Well, how can I put this? Most of my collection followed me mainly from high school all the way through college and everything. And I didn't really start off with a whole bunch. It wasn't until after I was in college that I went kind of full bore. It was like college was like, every Wednesday was going there. But in high school, it's like every time I could go get to this one newsstand, I was picking them up. And then it got to the point where I was using, allowance and everything, but it wasn't like a consistent thing. College, it became consistent. So it was more like the 90s is where I was really collecting heavy. And then my father's passing. No, yeah, my father's passing left a good chunk of money, and I even kicked myself to this day. And the reason I kick myself to this day is because if I would have known back then what I know now, I would not have start my X-Men collection first. I would have done the Wonder Woman. I would have had a lot more of the early gold and silver age Wonder Woman than the X-Men. Because when he passed, that freed up some money where I was doing a lot of the heritage auctions and a lot more shopping through places like Metropolis Collectibles. And I was picking up all the early issues of X-Men even then. And back in the 90s, it was still a pretty good chunk of change, but it was more manageable as compared to today with today's greed and how people want to charge you a slab rate for a raw book. But that's a whole different thing. You're wrong. Preemptive wrong on you, Joe. No, it's not preemptive. Yeah, that's the reason why I said it's different perspectives, but it's still a stupid thing to say. Low grade is better than no grade. We'll get into it. If it was not for new Superman 17, I don't know what a low grade is. I it's like I parented get rid. I was like I parented not get rid of comics. No comics would be worth anything really. Yeah, that's true. Well, I wouldn't say that. I couldn't say that. I couldn't say that. If parents back then didn't get rid of comics, then we wouldn't have such high asking price for things like the original Action Comics #1 and all of these big mammoths like Captain America #1. We wouldn't have those big exorbitant prices here. Exactly. Exactly. That was another argument that we had over there at Bryce Comics because Bryce said something to the effect that Amazing Spider-Man was one of the best-selling comic books of all time, and somebody's like, "No, it wasn't," and they had the nerve to bring up totals dealing with Superman. And I said, I'm like, I'm sitting there scratching my head. It's like, don't you realize that Superman has been out there a lot longer? If you're going to compare apples to apples, you have to compare it in the time frame from where Spider-Man originated to now with Superman. And it's like if you pay attention to the trend, Superman sales have dwindled, a lot more than Spider-Man sales. Sorry to say, but it is what it is. But that's the whole thing. There was, and back in the 40s, it was common for millions of copies of comic books to be printed. Why? Because it was a cheap medium to produce here, and they wanted to make certain that they was making a million comic books. They was making hundreds of thousands of dollars off of it. If people wasn't buying it off of the newsstands, it was a waste of you know newsprint back then. It was costly. It was costly back then, so they wanted to make certain that they make their money. Oh no, Jittery Joe. Nope. Mm-mm. Yeah, it's like they printed like 70,000 copies of the latest issue of Bat. Yeah, exactly. Bat Detective Comics back in the 40s. It was common to have a million copies, sometimes over 500,000. Literally, it was pretty much they were printing millions because newsprint was kind of like the standard, and it was kind of easy to get those numbers up. But the thing about it is that even back then, they never kept true totals of print count, but it was in the millions because it was kind of like a medium. Because again, back in the 40s, television wasn't really around like it is now. And then radio is like radio serials was still kind of like a thing, but people read. The news was pretty much read. It's like there was a major outpouring for going to a newsstand and buying the books. It is what it is. But getting to the whole thing about you know such thing as low grade is better than no grade, it really depends on your perspective as far as where you're at as far as a collector, or where your position is as a seller. Low grade is better than no grade is right up my alley as far as a preservationist. If Perfect example, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, I got an X-Men number 10 for the low cost of $2. You want to know how I got it for $2? And I'm talking about the one from the 1960s. You want to know how I got it for $2? It was coverless, which means that it is low grade. It has no cover. It is very low grade compared to CGC standard. It is a extremely low grade, but it's a backup copy for me because I already have one. It was a backup copy. Having that book means that I can now think about preserving and slabbing the one that I already have because I have a lower grade one that I can use as a reader, or you know get one of the many different reprints via Marvel Masterpiece or Classic X-Men. Oh, I just going through the other means that you could read X-Men number 10. But in that case, you can make an argument to say that low grade is better than no grade. And to really illustrate the point of low grade better than no grade is pretty much what it's saying is being able to get the book is better than not having it at all. As a collector who collects just to really read more so, or to have in a collection more so to just say I have a complete run of this and I wanted to enjoy my complete collection where I could go back and read and research and do whatever. Yes, low grade is better than no grade because we're not putting emphasis on the grade itself. Being able to have the book means something. Now, in a different perspective, for the person who is really trying to flip a book, low grade is not necessarily better than no grade. Why? Because you have to know your clientele. If your clientele only wants near mint to mint books, and you're up here coming out with that same X-Men number 10 coverless, they would turn their nose up at you, make you look like, look at you like crazy, and you're stuck holding on to that book. There's nothing that you could do to get them to buy that book because they're just that snobby. That's a case where low grade is not better than no grade. Let me get this. Yeah, because I know their lives are like, yeah, I got things to say. Yeah, not everybody had a radio, and the war was going on. Dag nabbit. Yeah. So again, Everybody was reading, meaning that it was millions. And then a lot of those books went overseas, millions of books. So you have to think about it. News was shipped worldwide via paper back then. So yeah, it could be millions of copies. But because we don't have official print records, we don't know for certain how much of each issue was really printed. We only got guesstimations. Yep, but you don't want that new She-Hulk 10 in a 2.5 for $1 for when you pay for full cover price for it. Yeah, a 9.6. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh, look at me. I'm not me. I told you to look at the police comic collection coming out and you poo-pooed it. But yet you get no, I actually bought that. See, you don't know me very well. You'll be like, oh, police comics, this, that, and the other. It's like, hmm, she showed me this. I went in a PM and said, hey, could you get me this? And they was like, sure. I was like, thank you. And I started telling other people because again, those who love Eel O'Brien or what's that? His first name was no, his first name wasn't Patrick. Or was it? Yeah, I think his first name is Patrick. I can't remember off the top of my head. But Eel O'Brien would know that he made his first appearance in Police Comics #1 from the 1940s. But yeah, go be mad in the corner. Mad in the corner. Mad in the corner. True, there's certain, to a certain extent, if it's on your collection list, and yes, having the book over no book, exactly. But people make it sound as if, oh, because I can get a 1.5 now, that it's not worth the time and effort, knowing good and well that I have the money to go get a 9.8. I was like, well, here's the thing. Take a look at the book that you're trying to get. If you're trying to get a 9.8 of Captain America Comics #1, and you don't have, let's just say, somewhere close to $3 million handy, just handy, where you could just be like, here, Mr. Comic Monger, here's $3 million for this book. Could you pull this out of the vault before I could own it? It doesn't make any sense. If you could get one that's a 1.5, it's the same difference. It's the same difference. It's like, in that aspect here. But when you talk about more modern comics, it makes no sense. It makes no sense because it's like, for example, if I could go out and get, let's say, something that's killing the children number 1 at like a 2.5, which is like the fourth printing of that #1 at a 2.5, knowing good and well, if I, at like $2 or $3, knowing good and well I have, $100 or $250 or $300 to get like a 9.8 of a second print. Why don't you just spend the money for the second print and just be happy with it? That's where it makes no sense. It depends on the era of the book here. And it's like, I just hate people that are like, oh, I can't read the comic, it's in a slab. Yep, I agree. You want to know why I agree, Parallax? Because there's such thing as buying 2 copies of a book. There's a such thing as, oh, wait a second, there's a smart little thing called Comixology and Kindle readers and all this other stuff where you can read the stuff digitally or through PDFs. You can have the slab and read it on your computer screen, and there's means and methods to read the book. Having the book raw really isn't the end all be all here, unless you're just one of those people that just have to have to have the physical book to read it. And I get it. There's some people that are just that way. So I'm not gonna knock those people per se. I get what they're coming from because again, just like how she was scrolling up, if we scroll back up a little bit earlier, the knock about I'm talking about Marvel masterpieces because again, I'm not one for collectives, but I do own some. I do own some. Like for example, I own like the essential Marvel universe. Why? Because I don't want to ruin the Marvel universe issues that I already have, constantly going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, looking up stuff. So I got the essentials to deal with the day to day stuff, and that way I could leave all the issues that I have of Marvel Universe alone. I do have Volume One of She Hulk in the same aspect. I still need to get Volume Two because why? Even though I might have 2 or 3 copies of that run, why am I going to constantly go back to the actual book to look up something when I could go ahead and do that? But the requirements for getting the collective is for me to say for me to, and this is for my collection purposes here, for me to have the actual run and know for a fact that I'm going to be using this more often than I thought. Let me go ahead and take an easier route here instead of always running to get the issues out of storage. Let me get the collective. I can hold on to this collective here, and over time, if the books become where it needs to be preserved, I could get them slapped. The end. It doesn't hurt for it to sit in short boxes and long boxes raw either. But it's a lot more upkeep. I'm finding out now because I'm swapping out bags and boards. It's a lot more that goes into it than anything else. But you know, that's why I say I agree with her sentiment here. It's not that hard to find another way to read a comic if it's slapped. And I don't want to read my Fantastic Four #1. I can read one of 20 different reprints of it. Exactly. And since facsimiles are now the thing of the future, I could just go ahead and buy the facsimile. I get all the original ads and everything. It's like reading the original one that I got slapped that is signed by Stan Lee. Yeah. But that's putting words in people's mouth at that point. Sorry about that. That's like you poo-pooed it and then you bought it. Yeah, yeah. Because again, you're looking at it. She's looking at it as if it's like, why would you poo-poo it? Because my situation is different than yours. Why am I going to go and get a collective volume when my goal is to have every issue? If my goal is just to be able to say, oh, I read something in a collective volume, that's fine. But if my goal here is to have every issue and I read it once and enjoy it and have it for a collection that is going to be used for display purposes and for archival purposes and everything to that magnitude, I think that has a higher purpose than buying a collective. I don't say that I would never buy a collective volume, but it's low on my priority. I mean, with like the police comics, it's like, yeah, I kind of made fun of it, but I went ahead and bought it, and that's what makes you mad because it's like when I told you about it, you wasn't so excited. You were like, yeah, no, I ready to get the original because the original books are still available. Those were my exact words, and she can vouch that. Those were my exact words. And she got mad. It's like, well, I was only trying to help. It's like, yeah, you helped. It's like you gave me an avenue, and what did I do? It's like off to the side, like, hey, I found out that this was coming out. Yeah, I could still get that for you. Okay, go ahead and do so. Didn't tell her one bit. Then she'd be like, I'm mad. Double mad. Double mad. It's like I buy any raw low grade book that is on my collection list, but if I wanted a graded key book that is $1,200 at least, I want to have a low grade reader in the meantime. Yeah, I agree. That's always the case. It's like you don't the thing about it is that us as collectors, we always try to send our best book to get graded. I don't see a lot of people just sending any willy-nilly book unless it's like the only one that they have to get graded. They always want to send their best book to get graded, and their best book gets graded and comes back, and then that's where all the arguments was. Like for example, I sent in Ultimate Fallout 4, which I thought I didn't own. Literally, I thought I did not own an Ultimate Fallout 4. And when I say own one, I'm not talking about facsimile. I'm not talking about second print. I'm talking about first print Ultimate Fallout 4. I found it in my collection, still in the poly bag. Yeah, I sent that to CGC. Yeah. Again, she about to be triple mad because you shouldn't got it pressed by CGC. It's like, look, I already know the game that they play. Because if I don't get it pressed by them, guess what? That book does not see the light of day of anything above a 9.0. So I already know that game. So it was what it was. And a certain individual is right. It's not the best pressing that can be done here, but it gets you past a lot of the nuances for the back the back of it for the back cover for the indentation on the front and back covers. So it is what it is. That you have a layer now. You need to let her find you key bookies. It's like how I found. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. No. Well, I don't want to put a certain individual on the spot here, but said individual who's just said this statement here found a certain individual book that came to auction this past Friday on a show that we just got through talking about. Said book was a what 9.4. The book that we saw on auction on that Friday went for over 200. The 9.4 was what, you know, 200 itself. So a raw book, a raw copy went over the asking price of a 9.4 that is slab. We made said individual who wanted a copy of that book aware of it. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that they went ahead and bought the deal here. But that's the whole thing. Charles Atlas ad. Yep. Well, that's messed up because if it's Charles Atlas ad, I have a hard time picturing anybody kicking dirt in your face calling you scrawny. That's just me. That's just me before you get into the whole Charles Atlas type deal. That's just me. You owe me an apology cake and present. Oh, there he is. There's Derek. There's Derek. What's going on, Derek? Yep. Yeah, we was just talking about a book that you was interested in on Friday, and hopefully we're keeping our fingers crossed that you bought said book at the discounted price here. Yeah, 9.4 at 220, and the other one that went raw went a lot higher than 220, and that was a raw book, which is not guaranteed to get the 9.4. Yeah, all day, any day, all day, any day. It's like you're taking a gamble on somebody else's judgment call on a raw book as far as grade is concerned, and even your own opinion. Even if you have the Overstreet price guide standard in front of you, even your opinion could be wrong. And that's the thing. That's the bad thing about grading here. I told you that. I told you you're going to be triple mad. I told you. It's like, did I call it? I called it a long time ago. Yeah, I'm still pissed. I'm not going to go there as far as the statement that was made. It's not my place to say how I felt about that. And the reason I say it in that aspect because I understand the business acumen of it, but I also know you just don't turn off people. And what happened turned off a lot of people. And I was like, where did everybody go? And I was okay because the way I felt is like you're not putting up books that I want anyway. I'm just here just to see what was available and keep pushing. But I understand people like you and a few others. It got to the point where it's like, yeah, there was a there that bias is always there. The bias is always there, and I'm used to it. I'm kind of used to it. You know, it doesn't phase me as much. Because if I'm going to buy a raw copy that still isn't graded, guaranteed, pay over, yeah, and pay over, yeah. But Don, here's the problem, and I have told several different vloggers, podcasters, sellers, resellers, as well as comic book vendors, and all these different people. We don't have a true price guide. We will never have a true price guide. And they were up there like, well, we got eBay, we got this. It's like, here's the problem. eBay is always going to be one-offs. But it has millions of sales and this, that, and the other. They're all one-offs. Nobody's going back to do even an average cost on that. Everybody's just taking whatever first few totals that they see on sold, and it's like, I'm pricing my book like that. Second thing, places like Go Collect, GP Analysis, Comic Book Price Guide, Key Collector does not take into consideration of all sales. Therefore, you don't have a true average. Third thing, people and speculation. People overspec a book. Guess what? It drives that price up. It drives the price up, especially when they see those one-off sales where they see like, oh, we got 3 sales over here where this book went for over 2 grand, but yet you got 200 sales over here where it went for 50 to 60. We're going to bump up everybody who had the 50 and 60. Now they're up here looking at us like, well, we need to bump the price up because we're seeing the one-offs over here. Maybe we should bump up that price to $300 to $400 just to kind of fall in line with what would have been the average, and that never works. Never works. And it's surprising because the same people who talk about this scenario, about average sales data and finding fair market value, are the same ones that won't put their sales in the mix to be a part of what fair market value should be. Oh, if fair market value for this book is $500, but yet I've been selling my book, I have been selling my books for half of that. Oh, I don't want my sales to be a part of that mix. It should stay at the $500. Like, no, every sale counts. The one of the reasons why Overstreet worked was because of the simple fact that it never took sales data from week to week, month to month, in that aspect. It went from year to year. And that's a little bit more manageable than week to week, month to month. And now we're going from year to year. It's like it's no way possible to get every last comic book sale on a issue on a day to week basis and be accurate on fair market value and to apply spec on it. It's not impossible. It's just hard. The reason why it's hard because now you want to have every comic book seller, which whether you be a comic book vendor, you have your own store, or you be a person like me who happens to be selling, books out of their own collection. All of those sales go into fair market value for a book. But because nobody is truly chronicalizing that, you will never have true fair market value. Never. Never, ever, 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 ever. The closest thing that you could get as of right now is what I see with GPA and sometimes with Go Collect. Cover price and comic price guy. Yeah. I'll still pick up a old school Overstreet before I use eBay, because I know eBay is too filled up with too many one-offs to use that as a primer. But that's just me. Yeah, I told him to make an offer of 175. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't trust that seller's opinion like ever. What is the condition that what's the condition that your ASM come in? The ASM was probably 80885. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair because Parallax. What did I honestly say that the range was for the 300 that I think he bought? If you remember, I remember what I said, and it was within that ballpark. I said that range was somewhere between a 7.5 and an 8.5 because I couldn't really see it very well on screen. But from the spine and what I could see of the edges, I was like, yeah, that was it. Definitely is like, well, it's a minty book. It's like, not so much, not so much. It can get there, but I'm up here. It's like, well, did he press it? Did he do anything to it? It's a good looking book. It presents very well, but you could tell from the spine and from the edges of the book that it was not a 9 candidate. And with the books that I normally get from CGC, I could tell you that it would have been somewhere between like a 7.5 and an 8.5. Would it be knocking on the door of a 9 if it got pressed? Probably. But if you sit it in that condition, I wouldn't be surprised if it came back a 7.5 or better. That was my honest opinion when I saw the book. But then again, here's the caveat to that. If you were there for that whole show, for the last 2 shows that he showed that book, they had 4 different people give their opinions on it. And as they got difference of opinions, the grade of the book slowly started dipping down when they actually started looking at the book for what it was. But, it is what it is. You meant it wasn't a Prince Ali Triple Dragon Egg 11.5? No. Yeah. I mean, it's like it's not to me, it's not making fun of how things are sold or anything. It's just the old school caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. And you can only see so much. You can only see so much on screen. And that's one of the things that I learned doing Whatnot sales, Because like anybody could put up a book and say, here's such. It is a minty copy. And I was like, really? You're saying that this is at least a 9.4 better? Hmm. No dog ears. And this book came out in the 1970s. I call BS. I hate to say it. I was like, I'll be straight up and be like, I call BS. Yeah, my ASM 300 is a 9.0 yellow label double sign. Yeah, my biggest gripe about last night was the comment made by the seller to a customer. Like I said, I'm leaving that comment alone. I leave it. It doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. If he wants to, if he wants to do harikari, then let him. But here's the thing, business wise, if your regulars don't have a problem with it, then he's not going to change. One of the things that I constantly say, and especially to Parallax over here, sometimes you just can't argue with stubborn. You could be 100% right, have 100% of the facts accurate, boom, still right there in the face, proving that they're 100% totally in the wrong. But stubborn is going to be as stubborn does. It's not worth it at that time. It's not worth it. But yeah. Mm-hmm. But again, I'm leaving that comment alone. I'm leaving that comment alone because again, I understand that that's his one of his regulars. It just it is what it is. GPA-ness. Yep. A collector is going to pay what he wants for what he wants, no matter how much they really want it. Yep. That's the reason, Don. That's my reasoning of why people should never use eBay as a price guide. They're all one-off sales. Once you get that first person that really overpays for something, then everybody thinks they could get that much for it. And that's not how it works. A collector is going to pay what he wants to pay when he wants to pay it, at the time that he wants to pay it. Meaning today, if he feels like he wants to pay $3,000 for let's see. Oh yeah, that's a perfect example. Today, if somebody wants to pay $5,000 for a Turok #1, and then comes back tomorrow and wants to pay 50 cents for it, that's just what he wants to pay when he wants to pay, right then and right there. It's a one-off sale. It doesn't necessarily mean that is the standard. Like all the morons who are paying $80 for the infamous Iron Man #1. Yeah. When it is a $15 book for 45 days ago. Yep. Mm-hmm. I can't stand the show anymore, to be honest. I spent all night yelling at the screen, like raging on Call of Duty. Comics on delivery. Instead of Call of Duty, comics on delivery. It's not worth it. I stopped yelling at my screen. I stopped yelling at my screen, and even Parallax has stopped me from proving a point to a lot of different people about overpaying. And I would say this amongst the people who are watching, and amongst the other people who are in the chat with me right now. In the past, dealing with that show, especially when I know people are overpaying for books. I will purposely make them overpay because I know it's the exact value of said books, especially when it came to Wonder Woman books, Film Force books, Huntress books. You know, Parallax and I would go back and forth with Dazzler stuff. You know, with some of the women-led titles, we know exactly what those books were worth. And then somebody, just because she bids on it or I bid on it, and they want to come over the top, and it's like, okay, you really want that book that bad? We want to put it at the price where you want to overpay for it, and we're going to be kind of like sitting back snickering after the fact that you got the book, you thought you got it at a steal. You did not hear this from me. And I kind of felt bad, and that's the reason why I actually got said seller to actually press the book after it was sold. If you remember, not too long ago, there was a George Perez Wonder Woman #1 that came up on the auction block. I know exactly how much that book goes for in every grade. And we had said people that were just like, oh, it's a #1. I gotta have it. I gotta have it. I gotta have it. And I'm like, okay, y'all want to play this bid war with me? It's like, okay, let me set the price here. If you go over the top of this, I know that I have you. I have you where I want you. You're going to overpay for this book, and you have no clue what you're doing. And Parallax know the night that I'm talking about. I did that, and it not only went for over the price of what it went for triple its normal cost. And I felt bad. It's like, like I was making comments like, Rich, is it possible to get that? Like, so I said the person's name, but I was like, is it possible to get it pressed? Yeah, get it. They got it pressed and everything for the amount of money that they bought it. It made him money. He made him money. The person got a good press out of it in the long run. But the bottom line here is that they overpaid for that book. And just like the moniker of said person, know your comics. And when you have to know your comics, you also have to know your pricing. Because the amount of money that they paid for that book in that condition, I could have got a graded one for that price. Just saying. Yeah, Don has been going more into the evil comic on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Yep. Comic Pirate is cool. I want them. I probably should be bringing people over to Q as well, over to Curly Q as well. He deserves some love too. I agree, Don. See, I stopped getting upset because I would. Parallax to tell you, when I first came over there, I was so livid that I was like, "Why are we here?" And it's like there's good deals to be had if you could get past this. It's like, yeah, but still, it's annoying as to deal with the nonsense. But it is what it is. And I kind of lost my screen here. Oh, there we go. Yep, he's a seller. He's my seller, DRK. Yep. He's the pirate is one of the better sellers here. Yes, there's plenty of sellers that are worth my time. Maybe if I was in the area, I could take advantage of the digs and half off the stacks. I would say this here. If I was in the area, this was probably what's going to end up happening. I probably would end up completing the titles that I wanted, and probably never go back to the store ever again. Why? Because he only deals with older books. So once I got the older books that I can get from him, it would have been a done deal. It would have been a done deal because there would be no reason for me to go back. And that's kind of like the problem with those who sell older books. Unless you have good turnaround of your books and you collecting a little bit of everything and willing to sell a little bit of everything and learn your clientele who would buy certain things. When you're stuck on spec, it becomes a problem. And it's like like I said, one of the things that really grinds my gears. I don't have a problem with people who want to treat comics as investments. Don't have a problem with it. But this is not stock. This is entertainment. Entertainment investment is a lot different than regular common stocks. You have to understand the people who are partaking in the entertainment to understand what they want and what they might like. So if you're ignoring ask and you're ignoring what people are trying to get right then and there, you kind of turning them off and turning them away. It's not the fact that you probably don't have the stuff, but it comes back to what I said earlier. Stubborn is a stubborn does. And I get it. You know, you got all these good and using the term good loosely books there that could make you a good penny. But the penny that is worthwhile is the one that helps somebody achieve what they want as far as their collecting purposes are concerned here. That's the difference. Then I would go into their shop. Yeah. We said 7.5 to 8.0. And but he claimed it's super high grade. Oh my God. Again, I don't trust people who give grades only because it's not slabbed. It's not you're not an official grader per se. That's just the way that it is. What did I was like? I was like it was like nope, fingerprint bins, you know, it needs to clean and press. Yep. And I still need to get my heat press. And like I said, the people who are wanting to help me get into the whole thing about archival, they say the exact same thing. It's like, dude, you really need to get yourself a heat press, and you need to start pressing books on your own and learn how to press and clean. I finally figure out how to do my humidity chamber. I finally figured out how to do that. And all up here, it's like, yeah, I got Sterlite bins around here. I just need to build a rack that could fit up in a Sterlite bin and buy some distilled water and be like, okay, put the books up in there, boom, and see if I can restore some of these damaged books that I have here before, you know, to fix them up here. But that's a whole different thing. Yeah, it would be my it's like it would be my final purchase for sure. Yeah. But again, I'm going to say this too. What happened Friday was a long time coming too, and the reason why I say it's a long time coming was mainly because of what happened the week before that on a Friday. And this is the thing. This is the thing, and you guys could say, and I know Parallax is going to say if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I'm going to say it anyway. The problem with Fridays with this particular seller is the fact that you have in-house bidding. I don't mind in-house bidding as long as they have to follow the same rules that we have. We have to deal with internet and lag, which means that if the in-house bid comes through, they have to do it on a phone. Do it on a phone. You can't just go. You just can't go and be like. You can't just go and be like, "Hey, we have a $20 bid on this book. Do I have anybody here in the house that would bid more than $20 on this?" At that point, you pretty much telling the people who stayed up online to be a part of the show that wanted to bid to go and take that poopy butthole and stick it somewhere. The whole thing about buy it now with in-house people shouldn't even be in the same sentence. Why? They're in the store. You got multiple copies of it. Let them get it from the stacks and pay the stack price for it. You specifically pulled this for your online customers. But like I said, this is getting into how the regulars are, what they are accustomed to, and they don't see a problem with it. And because of that, like I said, Stubborn is going to do as Stubborn does. He doesn't have to change it. He doesn't have to change it because why? He still got people that are going to buy. However, it also means that his growth as far as sales is going to stagnate and stagger. It's like you're going to see an uptick of new people come in and you're going to see a downtick of people leaving. And then you're going to have another uptick of people coming in until they figure out, oh, this is what's going on. Then there's going to be another downtick of people leaving. And that's perfectly fine. But until, he hits his own stride and figure it out for himself, it is what it is. Yeah, DRK, if you get a super good presser, it might be a good 9-0. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I truly agree here. I truly agree here. That I do agree. A good presser could make that a 9-0, but we saw it instantly. If there were more trustworthy cleaners and pressers, then I might value the opinion of the seller here. But nope. Well, the trustworthiness of the seller should be the greatest based upon your opinion. That's always my point of view, especially doing whatnot sales. It's like I'm not going to bullshit people. If the book is not 100%, I'm going to show you. Yeah, here's ticks here, ticks there. This is how it looks here. This is how it looks there. You got a dog here, dog here, there. And I was like, and I tell them, I was like, this is why I price it at $1. This is why I priced it at $2. This is why I priced it at $3. There's no haggling. There's no haggling. There's no. Oh man, this is definitely a 9.8. It's like I can't say it's a 9.8. I can say that this book is awfully sharp. It has no ticks or anything, but I'm not going to say, oh, this is a 9.8 candidate, or this you need to get this book graded. Not my call to do so. I don't know. He presses a book on one side for 3 minutes. That's not a press. A good press takes a couple of days. That's from me watching videos on how to press, because you put it in for a couple of minutes, you take it out, let it cool and everything. Then you have to like reevaluate the smoothness of it, the edges, and all this other stuff. Then, if need be, you put it back in a humidity chamber for a little bit longer, get it prepared again, and you press it again. And you could be doing that process for a couple of days before you get that. Yeah, it's ready to go to get graded. But that's just me. Proven trustworthy. Yep. Yeah, it's like it had a small color break in a spine tick. Yep. I saw that immediately when he showed the spine. I saw it. I don't call people out on it, but it's like I saw it. A small indentation in the black suit that could be pressed. That probably could be pressed out. And a chip in the bottom right corner. No, he actually showed the chip. So he showed the chip, but I saw that spine tick. And when I saw that spine tick, it's like, yep, that's a 7580. There's too much of a color break there. Yeah, I'm a very meh presser, but I do better. Yeah, I do better than that. I'm a good cleaner, and I don't use any chemicals or UV lights. I won't say this. You did not hear this from me. And I've seen some of this books that he so-called that the said person so-called cleans. Yeah, you cleaned it, but you also faded it. So if you're fading the book and cleaning it, you actually devalue the book. Yeah, it's cleaner, it looks nicer, but if your yellow fades or your red fades or your orange fades, it's noticeable. It's noticeable. And in the hands of a good grader, they would notice it too. And coming back to another conversation, that was the thing about computerized grading that I know for a fact that people would get upset if computers started grading it, because computers will look at fading in a different light, in a different aspect than a human eye would. And it would piss a lot of people off that if a computer started grading it, you would have a major dip in the number of books that was even near close to a 9. A lot of books would be now standard at like an 8.5 if we had computerized grading. But that's just me. That's just me, and knowing how to program and how computers would analyze some of this type of stuff. But what do I know? What do I know? It's like I only have a degree in computer science and been working in this industry for a couple of decades. Can't argue. Yeah, I won't say I don't say stupid, because I don't think it's stupid. I think it's stubborn. But stubborn can be stupid, but it's more stubborn than stupid, because there is some logic. It's not the best logic, but it's just stubbornness. Good point, Joe. Stubborn, nailed it. Yeah, it's just stubborn. It's just stubborn because we don't have. And again, I think we're been in such a day and age of entitlement that people don't understand that, especially with the comment that was made that hurt the person's feelings per se about, well, why don't you sell it on eBay? The person who told him that did not have a right to tell him, especially after the fact of the free books and a lot of the leeways that he made for said individuals. That was kind of like in agreement with. But also at the same time, it also showed how stubborn he was, because he wasn't going to let go of his guns as far as using said tool. But that's the like I said, that's the double-edged sword that I always was talking about. you know sometimes you hit your enemy and kill, and sometimes you commit harikari, and sometimes you kill both yourself and the enemy at the same time with a double-edged sword. It's just the way that it is. I also hate to watch the seller compare his raw dragon eggs to 9.8. Like, dude, just stop it. Again, that's typical seller. I don't know. I don't know how many online sales have you seen, Derek? So I'm not going to say that you hate it. I have seen it so often. I have seen it so often here that it doesn't phase me. I could, the whole thing here is that as long as the seller is showing you the book up close, you can make your own determination. But yeah, most sellers are going to say it's like, oh, this is a possible 9.8 candidate, unless they're truly honest with you. The fact that he shows you the condition of the book up front, he shows it to you. If you believe it's a 9.8 after he shows it to you, that's on you. So I can't fault him 100% on that. I could say it's 50-50. If he shows it to you and you believe it after he showed it to you, and you don't know any better about what consists of a 9.8 grade, that's on you. But to egg you on a little bit, yeah, that's part is on him. The guy shot me with a shotgun. What type of shotgun is that? Wow, yeah. I know the sarcasm behind that statement, but I still want to know what type of shotgun is that. B. That's not how ballistics and physics work. Yeah. And like I said, it's like, if a shotgun could do that, I want to know what type of shotgun it is, because I want to buy it. I want to buy one. It would get a shotgun that could do that would guarantee not to miss a certain person. It would guarantee not to miss a person, unless the burst pattern was of such where it becomes too wide by the time it gets to 1,400 yards. Wow. I'm 100%. I'm pumped. It's like I'll pump the bid. Leia loves spending people's money, as she puts it. Ha ha. Maybe. I just popped in. Gee, I wonder what show you're talking about. Yeah, I'm trying to leave it to guess, if for people to guess here, Matthew, and welcome into the show. I'm glad that you made it in. And Parallax is laughing, and there he is. Yeah, Wonder Woman 1 for Volume 2. Mr. Eyeball. Yep. I mean, Carne Asada overpaid. Carne Asada overpaid for books all the time on that show. Oh wow! Oh man! Oh, Mikael, some other whatnot sound. Press, I can press a book better by sitting. Ah, I won't say anything. We can all hang out with the evil comic pirate on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Yep. And and yeah, that's the person I want to start bringing people to. Even though he's getting more and more pricey, if you need new stuff, if you need new books, like if you need some a good place for pull, he's good. Parallax stands by Gamma Base. My only problem with Gamma Base is Gamma Base is a little bit too strict on certain policies to my liking, so I rarely deal with them. But they're good. They're good. Customer service wise, they're good. I just don't gel very well with their policies. I told you what I found out about CBSN, and it's a new day over there at CBSN, which is a good thing. The bad thing about it is I believe there's just too many people who have been through the worst of times over there that probably won't come back. And it's kind of sad. But I already told Parallax what I found out from the horse's mouth as far as what's happening there. It's going to be newer people coming into CBSN, newer stores coming in. You have to actually own a actual store now, which is a great thing. Problem is, too many people got burnt by certain people. It's still going to be a big to do later on as far as bringing those people back. But those who have loyal followings, it's like the few that I know of that are still on CBSN that I still frequently go by here, go by and talk to them. It's like we talked about Curly Q, we talk about Mr. Columbus. We talk about my boys up there in Michigan. Dang, I can't think of their names right now. But I got my guys over there in Michigan. We got Pirate Junior that's still over there at CBSN. There's still a few good people that's there. Oh, we can't forget about Isaac over there at CBSN. But there's a lot of other people that they did their due. They did their due, and no way that that sour taste would stay in people's mouths here. Yeah, there's plenty of gripes, but my biggest one I have is to clean or rebag and board my book after I spent all that. Yeah, I'm going to say this one more time, and people don't believe me. I have found a sure patented way to deal with a certain individual's bags and boards. Behold, the eraser of all erasers, guaranteed to remove those stubborn sharpie marks off of bags and boards. But I'm just saying that tongue in cheek. It's not a dig. It's just more making fun of it. But it is what it is. Yeah, yeah. Let's get into that brand new shiny bag. The bag is old. Scribbles all over. It's fun how he says know your comic because he goes back and forth between I know my books and I don't know my books because I only done this for a few years. Which is it? I just feel this way. You don't know everything about every book unless you're Parallax. That's the way that I look at it. It's like it's very few books that she don't know about. But a lot of times it's like you have to defer to people's knowledge and what their expertise is. And there's times that I help said individual. And I was up here, it's like, oh, you selling these books based upon this. I was like, okay, fine. I can tell you that. Eh, when said individual did X-Men Night, I was just going straight down the line. It's like, nope, that's this, and that's this, and that's this, and that's this. It's like everybody was like, how do you know that? Because that's my wheelhouse. That's one of my wheelhouse collections is X-Men, especially from like 100 to maybe 220. And it's awfully hard to keep, a couple of hundred comic books straight in your head as far as first appearances, what actually happened, when it happened, why it happened, and all this other stuff. And know what happened during those runs in that accuracy. Some of those stories are, burnt in your brain like no tomorrow. And don't let me get started on Wonder Woman. It's very rare. It's very well, I would say this. Some early Perez, I'm still foggy because I read them, but they didn't stick to memory. Volume one stuff, I know. I know because I had to research them. I have to research them that often and everything, and keep up with the values of it because again, I'm trying to collect all of it. He knows some stuff, but not a lot. Not a lot. I agree, Don. He gets a fresh bag. His grills on it. Leave that part alone. Like I said, that part doesn't bother me as long as you have the eraser. Now, if you want to talk about that particular part of it, the part that bothers me is you just bought the book for $20. Why can't you just go and buy, go pay another 50 cents to get another bag? Why can't you keep track of these books in a notebook? Why you have to write on the back? I mean, it's like nobody's going to knock your mojo for writing on the bag to keep track of auctions, as long as you're not going to knock them for not wanting to get another bag and board and actually asking you for a clean bag and board. I mean, it is what it is. It's like, you can't knock a person down for not wanting to buy another bag and board no faster than they could knock you down for, hey, why don't you use, pencil and paper instead, or have a notebook handy to keep track of these auctions. I don't know, but fair is fair. I'm one of these people that's just like fair is fair. It's like, hey, don't start, won't be none. Exactly. Exactly, Parallax. Yep. It's like I can find you the heat press low cost. I have to have the money first. It's like I know for a good heat press, I'm probably going to have to put aside 250, and then I have to find a place in the house to put it because the storage area does not have outlets, and I choose not to try to do the heat press in storage mainly because no ventilation and everything, and if something burns, pretty much it would be a big to do, and I don't want to get kicked out of that storage unit. So, yep, it's me. Yeah, it's like I almost quit due to in-house bidding. Let's just say it's totally legit. Still looks fishy regardless. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's not totally legit. The reason why it's not totally legit is because one of the rules is that in-house bids takes precedence over anything that is claimed online. which means that if he starts out a bid at $20 and somebody in house bid 20, that means you want to have to pay more than $20 regardless. And if you don't want to pay no more than $20, guess what? You got to lose the book because they don't have to go through the same hoops and loops that you go through with lag to place that bid. So that's the reason why it's not fair. It's not the fact that it comes off fishy as far as the way that it looks. It's fishy because they have unfeathered access. And that was one of the major complaints that, again, I have to put on my advocator's hat against Buy It Now on a Friday with in house. And lo and behold, he went back on his word on that. So I left it alone because, again, Buy It Now, the whole problem was that in-house bid takes precedence. Okay, fine, but make them do it on the phone. If they have that trump card and they're physically there, they could do it on the phone. They could do it on the phone and have the same opportunity that we have. But they shouldn't be that. To me, that's almost like allowing them to snipe any book that they want for Buy It Now. They can snipe any book that they want. Even furthermore, you're in the store. There's another copy in the stacks. It's not like he's saying, this is my only copy of this. I have never heard said individual say, this is my only copy of this, and I'm putting it up as a Buy It Now. Never. If you're in-house and you have access to the stacks and there's more copies, and 9 times out of 10, there probably is better copies in the stacks. Grab one for the stacks. Why you have to get the one that he's putting out there online? But like I said, being an advocate is hard work. It's hard work just to get people to see the bigger picture here. He also lied about in-store customers not getting access to the live sales stack. I don't think he purposely did that. What I believe is that he doesn't know who peruse what when he's away. So he will have and again, if you ever notice when other people come in to sit at the desk to sell, they always ask, what do you have here in the immediate area that is up for sale? Now, while he is selling and he's putting stuff out there on the table and he hasn't got to them as of yet, that's where you have to pay close attention about who's looking through what stack and what they're actually cherry picking. But they're not getting like days advance notice as far as what's in those stacks here. But they do have a little bit more access to them based upon who's hovering around at that point in time here. So I have noticed that much. But again, it's just this, like I said, the system doesn't work here. Yep, Joe, was there where, oh yeah, that's a good name for a said person. Bye girl. Bye girl told me we have no access to the live stacks at all. They do have very limited access to it. And when I say very limited, it's not like they come in and they look through the stuff before the show. It's as said individual start saying stuff out and they come around the desk and they talk and they do different individuals and they do different things and talk, again, the conversations, and they kind of flip through certain things, everything. That's the cherry picking that you have to pay attention to. It's not, and like I said individual is not lying about they don't have direct access to it. It's just more along the lines, that's the type of stuff that's happening if you if you have your fine eye tuned into how things are going. And no one's yeah, that part that part right there. And if you guys see my I'm not sorry if you guys see my cursor on the on the screen. That part was the part that is 100% not true. No one stands near him ever. That's I can unequivocally could say is BS at times. There are certain individuals that helps him in the shop that will be around him. A lot of them actually sells at the desk too, so it kind of makes sense. But there's other people that happen to walk up to him and talk to him while he's in the middle of the sale. Now they're not at the desk flipping through the books here, but they are in close enough ears, close enough earshot as well as sight to see what's currently around the desk to know what could be in the stacks here. And it's not like the stacks are covered or anything like that. It's not like he has to like, covered up and everything. They're just books, stacks of books that's sitting there. Anybody can see what's on it in a stack at any given time. The thing that said individual is trying to say is like no one's there like literally looking at each and every book. It's like, no, we're not saying that, but you still got enough earshot and eye shot to know what's on the table. You can see what he's flipping through. You don't have to stand right next to him. You can stand, 5 to 10 feet away and see kind of what he's flipping through. That's the type of access that people were complaining about. But it is what it is. That's something that he can't help. He literally can't help that. That's the reason why I said it's like he's not lying to us about that. It's just that certain individuals do take advantage of it. You need Avery or Kendra to clean and press. Yeah. Oh, we got more. Yep. Yep. I don't fade it because I don't use cleaners or magic eraser or UV light. Magic eraser. Here's my thing about magic eraser. Magic eraser does not fade a book unless you're like with a magic eraser, you have to be ultra light. It's almost like cleaning off glass. It's almost like using a magic eraser to clean off a pair of glasses. You have to be even strokes, very light to the touch, and will pick up the dirt off of the first layer. If you are there scrubbing, guess what? You're going to fade it. And don't use water. Don't use water. Most common book cleaning is dry erase. And I just had a dry eraser here. Need something like this. This is called a dry eraser. This you could get these at most drafting stores, or if you got an old school Blix or Utrix, you could get this at those stores as well. That's the type of stuff that drafting people use here. And just to make you guys aware of it, this is a book that affectionately Parallax calls Windbag. I got this book from him, and it was a dirty book. And I actually, cleaned it up a little bit more before I could actually do sketches on it, because when it was sold to me, it would have specs and all this other stuff here, and I'm still cleaning it up a little bit more. There is one, I don't think this camera will focus in enough, but there's a little bit of a dent right there in the sketch cover here, and it's hard to get out certain dirt and stuff like that until I get to like magic eraser and whatnot. But most of this is just, from a simple dry eraser. And you can see where, there's still dirt and stuff there, but that's inconsequential because I have a sneaky suspicion that this sketch cover has been around and people have been around with pencils and colored pencils and everything. So it's like it's probably been around some other artists who had it lying around and all this other dust and stuff got into it and whatnot. But that's what dry erasers are for. That's what you use the dry erasers and stuff for to get the clean enough where you can start sketching and drawing on it and eventually using markers and everything for you could go ahead and get it graded at a art level. Oh, by the way, you can still get a yellow light for sketch covers. For those people who are not aware of that, there is a grade called ART for art, or what is it called, NG and NG in CGC's term, and art for CBCS. And what those are for Yo Label is that for sketch covers like this, you could get a sketch cover done by an artist and they sign it. You could get the signature series, but it would have NG on the Yo Label if it's for those that are not graded, and for CBCS it would be as ART, which means that it got encapsulated. They know it's custom artwork on it. It was signed by said artist, but the book was not graded. That may help some people in the pocketbook because those books are technically less cost less to get encapsulated than those that are get graded. But that's a whole different thing here. I.e., some of the Amazing Spider-Man 300s are faded because the printer had less red ink during the end of the print run compared to the start. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Some girl from NYC said she is going to clean books for me, but stole them from me. hmm. I wonder if that's the same said individual that says like, oh yeah, I got these books for you, but I have to drop them in the mail. I have to drop them in the mail, and you haven't seen nothing yet. But no, seriously though, I think she did not steal them from you. I think you're saying that tongue in cheek. Oh wait, you already have that. LOL. Yep. Yeah, his raw dragon ass always have a crease. Well, yeah. Again, most of the books that he calls calls candidates up under a good pressing would be an excellent book to send in to get graded. I won't deny that until I actually take better look at the spine. There's some books that he had that he said was near mint that I was like, nope, spine says otherwise. But there's a lot of there were some books that were pretty clean on the spine, but it still needed some work to get it into like the high nines. But that's just me. My comment was more related to his saying his raw books is worth the same as, yeah. But again, all comic book sellers are going to say it, especially if they feel that it's a 9.8, they're going to say, I'm going to grade it, I'm going to compare it to a 9.8, a certified 9.8. Up under what authority? It's like, are you graded for CGC? Are you graded for CBCS? Are you graded for EGS? Are you graded for PGX? Matter of fact, I'm going to say that for another day. I'm going to say that for another day because you made me think about something. Because because said individual is one of the few individuals that sell PGX books. And to me, PGX books are a gamble because you have to know the difference in the labeling for PGX to know if it's a recent PGX or if it's an older one. Older ones, I would question its grade until I die because their standard was not equivalent to all the other standards at that time. A 9.8 from PGX prior to, I would say, 2015 would be very suspect. Very. I mean, extremely suspect. But nevertheless, it is what it is. Carne Asada and the con men always overpay for their books on that stupid show. Maybe. Only reason I say maybe, and like I said, that's normal. That's normal customers. That's just normal customers, and I'm not going to knock his customers. Not my place to. Not my place to really, go in depth and really put my mouth on the show because I don't have a problem watching the show. There's times I actually enjoy it, and then there's other times I go there and be like, wow, did this really just happen? Did I just see what I just did? I'll be like the Booker T. It's like, tell me, did he just say what he just said? Type deal. Tell me he did not say that. I mean, tell me he just did not say that. Moments in that show. I mean, there's literally that much. Your question earlier about my experience on Facebook Live sales. No, I'm not saying Facebook Live sales. I'm just saying sales in general, comic sales in general, whether it be Facebook Live, auctions, garage sales, YouTube, whatever a person has a claim sale. That's what the comment was more about here. I have seen a lot more people try to price gouge people because they feel that their book is a 9.8 when it's not. So that's what I say. I'm not criticizing about your experience. I'm just saying it's commonplace. I'm saying that's more commonplace than what you realized. Let's just say I was there at the very beginning, been doing this a long time too. Yeah. No, I wasn't minimizing your experience, but I just say it's more commonplace than you think. So it shouldn't bother you. Can't stand the chaos. Yeah, it's still chaos. eBay screen for minutes on end just makes me turn it off. It's not the fact that he goes to the eBay screen and stays there forever. Like I stated before, eBay is one-offs. They're not the standard. I mean, granted, he is doing quick averages, but you're doing quick averages of one-offs. You skip over the sales that where you have for like $15, $20 to look at the ones that are $200. But yet you're not taking the $20 and $30 ones into that average as much. So here's the problem. If you're going to ignore the low end, then how much of a average cost are you really looking at for fair market value? Again, that's just something, food for thought. Not a slam, just food for thought. Yep. They're not Clorox wipes. I told you they're not Clorox wipes. these things right here, forget Clorox. What they need to say, it is the Sharpie eraser. That's what this is, the Sharpie eraser. That's what it is. So don't fret. Again, getting that is far safer than what he was suggesting with lighter fluid or nail polish remover. And besides, you also get the away from it too, if you notice on some of the shows. So it is what it is. Because he listened to Ryan for the X-Men, who thinks that every X-Men book is 30. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry if we're laughing, but sometimes when she takes a dig, she takes a dig. But it's a true it's truth to it. It's very truth to it. It's a lot of truth to it. Ryan is the king of in-house bids. Yep. Clorox wise, gonna have to get me some. Yeah, yeah. And the bad thing about it is like you see how how certain person's fingers get in the show. As much as he writes, after using that Clorox cleaning wipes on the bag, you would get some of those same fingers too, because that's how heavy he's writing on those bags. It's not like, oh, okay, just wipe it real quick. Oh, you're done. You're up there like, hey, why you have to write so deeply into it? If it's like if there was a Fantastic Four book or so, nobody tells him, oh, this is X, because I'll be like, nope, it's not. Mhm. No, we again, we would tell him, it's like, oh, this could be the first appearance of this. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. The one book that people slept on, and I bought it, and that was Uncanny X-Men 199. And the reason why people slept on it, because, oh, it was Phoenix, and I was selling all Phoenix books. It's like, yeah, but 199 is a no, 198. Excuse me, 198 is a key issue, a minor key. It was an important minor key for Ascani's son. It was the first time that Rachel's son dons the mantle of the Phoenix, and nobody knew about it but me. And I bid it on that book, and I believe I got that book for like $6. And I'm up here, it's like, Rich, don't get upset. People are sleeping. And it's like, and he was like, yeah, people are sleeping, this, that, and the other. It's like, yeah, this book is heavily important in the X-Men universe because of, and I told him what the book really was. He doesn't know. He doesn't know everything about every book. And just like Parallax said here, it's like if it's a Fantastic Four book, hell to high water, you bet not get it wrong. You better not get it wrong. She knows about Fantastic Four. We all have our wheelhouse titles that we know like the back of our hand. I own every issue. I was like, I know shit details about books, but I know what books are in great condition. Yep. God has some of my books. Yep. More than some. I just don't know why he spend money on new bags and then throw the old bags then right all over the fresh bag. Oh boy, let's just leave that part alone. I'm done with that. I'm so done with that. It's like, you know what? Don't mess with his flow. That's the way that he does things. Let him do the thing, do it the way that he does it. But all the extra waste he makes, like I was like, I'm not the greenest activist here, but it's still a waste. Yeah, it's still a waste. I mean, the problem with bags is that it really depends on the bag that you use. It's like some of the older bags, once they start yellowing and stuff, you got to get rid of it. There's bags that are still good, but the boards go bad. Sometimes you just need to buy new boards and reboard them and this, that, and the other. And then you got Mylar. Mylar doesn't go bad per se unless it gets cracked. And then the whole thing about top loaders, the way that he packs, yeah, he would crack a top loader. That part I will agree. After reviewing how he packs stuff, he will crack top loaders easily. So I get why he says what he says, but I just don't. I like I said, it's not the best thing, but I don't believe every bag has to be replaced. But if you go out and replace the bag, if you go out and replace the bag, then you might as well write on the old bag until. Well, that's the thing. That's the way he keeps track of stuff. And like I said, I'm leaving it alone. It works for it works for him. It works for him. So that way you can get the parchment paper and the little slab. Aluminum slab. Oh boy. People got jokes. People got jokes. Oh wow. Plus after the fact, I was like, I'm trusting to rebag and board off screen. No, that's not necessarily a rebag and board off screen either. Parallax acts like she knows everything, but didn't know about Snapper card. Matthew, I'm going to say this, and I want you to listen very well. Pre-Nixon characters is before her time. She don't care about pre-Nixon characters. You be ridiculous. You don't like you don't work good. I exactly in the blinking store. Yeah, go peruse the half off stack. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to catch up, people. We're almost there. We're almost there because it's over 2 hours here. But I'm enjoying the conversation that he has. Like, uh, Alex literally goes through the stacks and pulls out the stuff. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he has different people pull out stuff for the show. So that's why I know for a fact it's like no one person knows exactly what's going to be on the show, and depending on who's there, who's not there. So it's like Tony might post something for the show on Monday, but it won't show up until Wednesday. Or Alec might pull out stuff for the show on Wednesday and it shows up on Friday, plus whatever key issues that said individual want to sell here. But that's just the way that it is. Let's see. Yeah, it's still low grade sandpaper on newsprint grade paper. You just scratch the hell out of it. You seen him scratch the hell out. Yeah, we this that's the reason why you got to be careful with foil books. I didn't want you to bring that up, but yeah, we have seen him scratch some foil books. I'm not certain if he scratched a metal book as of yet, but I know we have seen him scratch some foils. But that's the whole thing. Yeah, NG no grade. art drawn blank cover. Yep. Quadruple. What made what is setting you off? What is setting you off? You're always mad. That's nothing new. Correct. I send you the linking for the press that you need. Okay, I'll go ahead and take a look at that here. Yeah, he runs every book by talking about it 17 times. Eyeball hates that. Yeah, yeah, he does. That person does here. But we are about we're over our 2 hour limit here. Hopefully everybody enjoys that, and hopefully we answered the debate about low grade. Low grade is better than no grade from all aspects here. Let's see what we got here. Now, okay, you quintuple. You know what? You're at quintuple. Now I just need to. Now I just need to go 2 more levels and see if you know what that is. I was like, oh, you want to go into in the tuples? Okay, let's keep going. So now quintuple. Let's keep going. That's like because I forgot I was quadruple. Yep, I forgot what was bad times 4x. So 4x bad. Yep, exactly. You don't need to pull it out over and over and over again. But again, even with pulling it out over and over and over again, that's how incidental stuff happens. And then you pull it out after you touch pizza, or you pull it out after you touch something else. You pull it out after you have a drink, and you don't have anything to really wipe your hands and everything. I mean, it's kind of like a buyer beware, but for most of us here who understands like the basics of cleaning, then I'm going to wait for my camera. There we go. For those of us that understand the basics of cleaning, not that much until it gets stained. And if it gets stained, then that's when we be like, you gotta drop the price, dude. You gotta drop it lower. But it is what it is. Yep, she knows it. She knows it. She knows it. But she didn't get to that level of angry. Now, if she was at septuple and sextuple, she would be probably somewhere about volume 20. So that's if she was really that angry. But it is what it is here. So I'm going to bid you guys adieu for tonight. Unfortunately, for people like Parallax and Matthew, it's already Sunday. So I do apologize for that. I took up all your Saturday evening here. I do apologize for that, but enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the Sunday morning that's there. For the rest of us here in the Midwest and on the West Coast, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. And what Don says, yeah, all righty. Thanks for the great chat. That's why I said this show is an interactive show. This is unfettered access to me and what I'm doing with comics and what books and stuff that I'm creating. Parallax knows something that's coming down the line here for primetime Saturday night that I'm still working on to get the final stuff done, but it's going to end up happening here. But that's what this type of show is. It is an interactive show where you get full access to me and talk about topics like we talked about here. I mean, like I said, I want to preface the show, and this is the disclaimer: we were not dumping on one particular individual per se, but we are talking about the problems dealing with the claim aspect of the show of that show that they run. We do wish the said individual the best, but we also know that he's more on the stubborn aspect of a lot of these things. And, we try to bring it out to the best of our abilities to let him know it's like, hey, this could be a problem. This could be a bigger problem than what he realizes here. So if he does watch this, take it with a grain of salt. There's no malice in this. Now I can't say for the chat here if there was malice, but for me there's no malice one way or the other. for one business person to another. I understand a lot of the stuff that's going on, but at the same time, I also know the rocky road that might come from it if you still take that same stance. So, like I said, take it with a grain of salt. You know, much love unto you and the business, and we could talk more about it later. But that is just it is what it is. Yeah, stop talking about the book out of the bag and throwing them around. Yelling at the script. Wow. Oh boy. I mean, I didn't realize you guys were yelling like you're playing Call of Duty like that. That to me is just beyond. LOL. Eyeball, stop touching my dead girl book. She's already dead. Take it. Yep. Uh, I'm like Sue Richards. I am embodying malice. LOL. Actually, no, he's a good guy, just a terrible businessman. Maybe, maybe. But on that note, I bid you guys adieu. As I always say, live life, grow, and be well. I will see you here next Saturday for another episode of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. And if you do get a chance, catch us on Comic Book Spectrum on this Thursday. I'm not certain what I'm going to review this Thursday, but it is going to be something different here. And hopefully, as Parallax would say, hopefully another individual doesn't go into tirades here, but it is what it is. Oh, it's like I can't tell you how high my blood pressure gets. Goodness, wow. I have to watch the show on mute so I don't get riled up. Wow. I did not realize it's like in the beginning I was that angry. Now not so much. Now not so much because I kind of chilled out. I kind of chilled out a lot because I understand. I understand. I got to the point where I understand one thing: the majority of the books that get sold are not books that I'm into in the first place. So it's not meant for me to get upset for stuff that I'm not going to bid on. But when I do bid seriously, and when I feel that bidding gets corrupted, that's the only time I get really upset about it. But outside of that, yeah, Milo DMs me with I need this. Wow. Wow. Okay, Don. We got to figure out a better way for you to be able to deal with the stress for that because, like I said, it is a stressful show. It is a stressful show to watch, a very stressful one. But understanding some of the business acumen that is needed, I kind of took that step back and kind of understood all sides of it. But I also know that there's going to be a lot more books that I wouldn't necessarily bid on. It's good to see, but I don't have to bid on it. And once I figured that out, my average what I owe went dramatically down. I mean, I was like turning around and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I spent close to $300. And then I thought about the books that I bought. I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, Comic Pirate. I just hate the 300 cards being showed from for him to sell 10. Maybe maybe that should be a topic for another Saturday. Because with Comic Pirate, there's a couple of things that I'm beginning to notice with him, and like I said, I understand his regulars. His regulars, that's what they want. There's no easy way to make everybody happy, but at the same time, I got to the point where with his show, and with his show, I know what parts of the show that I really need to pay attention to. But that's a whole nother topic for another time. Oh my god, like yeah, this is taking 2 hours. over 2 hours. It's 2 hours 19, and and I've been trying to say good night, but everybody keeps talking. But again, good night. Have a for Parallax, Matthew, and everybody on the West Coast, well, the East Coast. Have a good Sunday because it's after midnight over there. For everybody on the West Coast and the Midwest, have a good rest of Saturday, especially those on the Midwest. We only got 40 more minutes before we hit Sunday. No, I mean his card selling. Yeah. I mean, I'm not just talking about his card selling. It's like the card selling, the toy sales, video games. I mean, he got a gamut of a lot of stuff, but it's no easy way to mix in all of the different things that he could sell without making people kind of like push back a little bit or not really pay attention too much because he wants to cater to all people that's coming in to watch the show. So it's kind of like one of those things. It's kind of like one of those things that, like I said, later on that we could discuss it more so than anything else. Yeah, I know you could talk to me all night. Matter of fact, Parallax will be talking, and I'll probably be up here like somewhere like this. And then, yeah, you're right about that. Uh huh. Uh huh. Yep. Okay. And then she'll yell something and be like, "Okay, I'm awake. I'm fully awake and got my attention. What's going on?" Yeah. In fact, I'm totally DMing you on Facebook. Yep. I don't know what it is. $11. No, I don't know what it is. $5. That used to be the moniker. I don't know what it is. $5. And then he wised up. He wised up because a lot of people was like, "Well, I don't know what it is. $5. I'll buy it." Yeah, I get that. It makes logical sense business wise. Yep. But good night, everyone. Before Parallax says anything else, and we are officially out of here for the night. Bye.